white stain on my shirt from the curb you passed and
Hey guys,
Hello.
Today we're at my friend Tiange's place in Rotterdam. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
So, wow, this is the one I painted for you for your housewarming.
Yeah. Thank you for that. It's a very unique one. Unique piece. Actually, it's the first painting, first artwork in my new apartment. So I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, I'm very glad you like it. So my friend Tiange came to the Netherlands 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5 years ago. So I'm curious, like, what made you choose the Netherlands? Because you came here to study, right?
Yeah, actually, school brought me here. I did my MBA, so I was thinking, okay, so where I gonna go for my MBA? So I had some thoughts at the moment, and I had my master in the UK, so it's like, okay, the weather is it's trash, right? But
it's under the same cloud.
but I mean, like, I really like the weather, to be honest. So I'm like, okay, so when I choose a uni, and I'm gonna go to the country with similar weather.
Yeah.
So the altitude gonna be like similar. It's gonna be like, and also the capital city of the country. So Amsterdam, London, or New York.
Okay.
Of course, New York is not the capital, but yeah, still like very fancy, right? So 3 cities that apply for like different units, and they're like, okay, so the first uni give me the offer, I'll go there.
Okay.
So we chose each other. So here I am.
Wow, it feels like destiny.
Yeah, it feels like fate. Yeah, that's
great. So good.
Yeah.
So, well, 2.5 years, you managed to find a decent job and stay here, and last year you bought your own apartment here. So, congratulations.
Thank you for that. Yeah, actually, this is really interesting. I got it in Mexico City. So yeah, so not only like when I travel somewhere, like I buy some like local stuff. This is really different. Yeah.
2.5 years later, and do you feel more like home in the Netherlands, or like is there anything you feel differently so far?
Yeah, I feel like because I've been like to many places, I wouldn't feel like it's like home, but I really feel like more familiar in this country than before.
Okay.
The differences, I think the culture here is pretty straightforward, so it can like push you to be more efficient and similar way of working to be able to communicate better, right? So I think I did have some changes like over these 2 years that I'm more clear about what I want, and I communicate that to people like directly. So I think that's definitely gave me some like positive impact.
Okay, great. And would you see that is something that you kind of changed or evolved over the time?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so and then when you just moved here, or even after 2.5 years later, do you still feel any culture shock as an expat? Because we're from China, so we have the same background, like growing up. Yeah. I remember for me, like there was many, even though like I have some exposure to the Dutch culture, but I still feel like sometimes they're quite straightforward in their communication. So what about you? Do you have any culture shock?
Right, I wouldn't feel like culture shock, but I do feel like there's some like differences. But I think like when us being with them, and they also feel like there's culture differences, right?
True,
so I think at the very beginning, I think it's a lot of it's not something that I'm used to. It's too straightforward, more like than the Canadians or Americans in some way. But right now, when I understand the pattern, understand their culture, I feel like okay, so I understand the background, what they are going through, when they're saying something. So it's not from mostly it's not bad intention. So you can be like, so I can be more open-minded, and also I expect them to be more open-minded about other cultures as well. So there are some differences. I wouldn't feel like it's culture shock, but there are definitely still some differences.
Yeah, true. I really like her expression that it should be like a mutual adaptation, not only one-way integration. Yeah. I guess that's probably for our expats. Sometimes that could be like a challenge because there is certain expectations that's imposed on us, like we have to behave in a certain way. But like sometimes we feel our culture, probably our behaviors are not like understood properly or kind of integrated or embraced at least the culture.
Yeah, that's why that I think that it's important that we communicate that. Sometimes when they say something we might not feel comfortable with that, we need to let them know, right? Yeah. So because they have the right to say something, but we also have the right to say that we are not comfortable. They need to, if they want to be friendly, still be around with us. They still need to be, understanding and more open-minded.
Yeah. Okay, great. So now that you've been here for a while, what do you like the most about living here?
Yeah, living here is very flight and very hiking friendly.
Oh my god, that's my worst nightmare.
I would say can see a lot of possibilities, right? It's a very small country, so there are a lot of internationals here. Some people are very international, open-minded, so they tend to embrace other cultures as well. I mean, most of the people, not everyone, right? There's some still people they just want to live in their local circle. They're not wrong, right? It's their choice, but
they're right.
But also, like, I feel like there are some people that you can find, your group, your not necessarily all Chinese, but those groups that you feel connected with. So I think that's something that I really like about here. And secondly is the people are really sporty. They can do tennis, they can do this and that. And in China, in a lot of areas, maybe it's a privilege, right? But here, it's more like a lifestyle. It's part of like drinking water or something. So I would say.
Didn't you just do 110 kilometers cycling yesterday?
No, not 110, but like 60.
60. But is it back and forth 60 or
no? It's
60?
One way. I take train to one place and cycle like 60 and then take train back to Rotterdam.
Oh my god.
I didn't do that for quite a long time, so it was a bit too much. But still, I'm okay.
She's quite a sporty girl. And do you think Netherlands is your long-term plan, or is it something like a stop in your journey?
Well, it depends long term.
Probably a decade, I would say.
Decade? I'm not sure because I think it's also like we communicate before, right? We talk about it. It's really like I'm BTI driven, so I'm like a very spontaneous person. But definitely I like it here for now. It definitely wouldn't be like short term, but like long term, I'm not sure. But I haven't thought about leaving yet.
Great.
But hopefully it will not come. So treat me well. Please treat me better.
I think they will. So far you've been made quite impressive progress. So I think probably this is the place for you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Great. So like on the last note, if you were to give any advice to the viewers here who are thinking of moving to the Netherlands as an expat, do you have any like tips or advice for them?
I think it sounds really cliche, but I think like stay open-minded. When I think firstly that you, no matter where you live, right, where you go, and you need to make yourself comfortable and make yourself like the place and the people here. So if you feel comfortable and just continue. If you do not feel comfortable, that you need to let people know, right? And it's not offending people or not respectful. You can always say it in a friendly way, but also express your feelings. So I think that's one of the most important things that I've learned this year. And secondly, I think just try different things. There are different groups, different kind of communities here that always explore different things, like especially in a young age. And I think that's in that way that we can find more exciting stuff in this flat country.
Find the community and then grow from there.
Exactly.
Oh, that's very good advice. Thank you so much for doing this interview.
Thank you so much.
And wish you the best for the long-term future.
Same to you as well.
Thank you. Great.
录一下这条。哇。
Lemonade stain on my shirt. From the cup you passed to me. We've been sitting on this porch since the clock hit 3:30.
游轮，然后就各种转了一圈，然后还到了那个 Tiange Harbor 里面找电视。哦，就他们专门给他打开了那个闸口。好棒啊！
Just an excuse to touch you though. Summer days are long. But I don't want them to end. Not because of sunshine. Just cause you're around again.
家在哪儿啊？回家从这儿过20分钟。然后我回来之后，我在思考，我在通过记忆，我拍视频，然后我就选出来之后，我看我那个小房子，是吧？那个房子有点类似于那个，你记得吧？它是那个美兰德地标嘛，它是有点像绿色建筑那种意思，因为它可以通过植物的那个光和那种来调整。哦 ，passive housing。对 ，passive。我不是我的 better 了。哎呀，真的是，这也很爽。 Taxi.
You got sunscreen on your nose. Said just an excuse to touch you though. Summer days are long,
Oh shit.
but I don't want them to end. Not because of sunshine, just 'cause you're around again. Summer days are long, but they're shorter when you're
看
here.
一下你摇曳的笑脸。
Wish the clock would stop for once. Keep you close throughout the year.
Wonderful， 宝贝儿。